Hello and welcome to Some of My Friends Read Comics. We've got Vance.
There's something funny going on tonight, and it isn't Hogan's Heroes.
We've got Chris.
Give me some butter and salt for this corn.
And I'm Kia. Hi, welcome to the show. We're reading some interesting comics today. We're reading Secret Wars 2. This is from 1984, 1985. We got to talk about the original Secret Wars to talk about what this is. But of course, afterwards, we're continuing Thunderbolts. We're on issue number 14 over there. They're in space. I think they're leaving space. We'll get to that. But Secret Wars. Okay, Secret Wars 2. What was Secret Wars 1? That happened in like 83, right? 82, 83?
It was, I think, 83 and 84. This is 85.
So like a year later, this happened. Okay,
Yes.
So the original event was a bunch of heroes got transported, like just teleported kind of randomly up into space. And the Beyonder wanted them to fight. And then
Kind of like
Dr.
action
Doom,
figures. It's just like all the Marvel action figures just fighting each other.
Yeah, it was like the first Marvel event. And they didn't know what they were doing. So they just did the action figure fight with everyone.
Yeah.
But they are making Avengers Secret Wars. Like, there's supposed to be a movie of this, I think, in 2 years. So, I don't know.
I don't think of this, man.
I don't think it'll be this. Yeah, the
I think
Secret
they're
Wars
gonna
name
adapt
has
this
continued on to
verbatim.
a lot of... Yeah. No. But anyways, the villain in that was the Beyonder, who's just this kind of omnipotent, space thing. And Secret Wars 2 is the sequel for the next year, I guess. What can we expect? Are they going up into space again to be pitted as action figures against each other?
I would expect them to have a secret war.
I would, yeah.
You would think.
Yeah.
Like, at the very least. Maybe wars. Because how did it actually work in, like, publication history? Like, everybody got, like, abducted, like, in the middle of, like, Amazing Spider-Man. I mean, obviously it was, like, a standalone event with, like, standalone comics. But, like, Amazing Spider-Man just got taken away, and then next issue he's like, wow, I had this secret war, and now I have a black suit, the Venom suit. And he just was back, and then you'll find out what happened to Spider-Man over the next 12 months. Is that how they published it in, like, mainline Marvel?
Pretty much, yeah. They just had, like, I think they would have, like, 1 month where they would be like, we don't know. We don't want to kind of spoil it. But, yeah, then they were like, well, here we are. Some of the books they gave more lead-in for what was going to happen than others. But, yeah, it was pretty much all self-contained, and it ran for a year. So then, they were just like, okay, everyone's back. So they didn't really miss anything. They're kind of trying to seed this by being like, read these other comics, which we did not read.
Yeah, there's a lot of tie-in stuff
There's
happening
like
over
Ghost,
here.
the Beyonder's going to cause some schemes in Daredevil, and I'm like, I'm not reading that. I'm sorry. I'm not going to go do that.
It is very funny that he's like, I'm going to go talk to Matt Murdock, and then like start of next issue, he does not talk to Matt Murdock. He's like, okay, well.
So it's one of those events where it's like, I mean, because Civil War was that way. Like, a lot of events happen, and then, and then the ancillary books kind of like fill in the details in between the main events. I do remember. Go ahead.
I'm going to say, which, as much as I don't like Civil War, at least it's like big action set pieces are like what they decide to include.
Right.
Yeah.
Versus like whatever this is.
This is I remember, so going into this, I remember, and we're getting, Secret Wars 2, I remember we did it as our long read years ago, and I felt like this is dragging. This does not need to be 12 issues. Or I think it might end up being 13 issues. And I'm like, this is dragging. We don't need this many issues. So this is only 9 issues. We're still doing it as 2 parts, and I'm like, oh, thank goodness. Like, this is not going to be 12 issues.
Yeah, these were dense issues too.
They're all like 9-panel setups.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. So we should get to it. I've got a lot to say, but also not a lot to say. We'll see.
And we should mention, so Jim Shooter, who is the editor-in-chief of Marvel at the time, is the writer. And then Al Milgram, who's also an editor, he's the assistant editor and also an artist, is the penciler on it. And I nothing, not to be mean to Al Milgram, but it's weird that he's doing an event book like this.
Yeah, the dogs agree.
And then the inker is Steve Lealoha, which was the original artist on Fables.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, do we need to do something about this dog here? That dog is going. I don't think we can do anything. Dogs are going to dog. That dog's not going to stop. He hates Al Milgram's art. I will say I actually kind of liked Al Milgram's art here. I'll talk about it more, but there's a oh my jeez, I'm sorry. What's that pup's name? I'll have to appeal. Reminded me a little of Bill Sinkovich at times, actually. Like I don't know, maybe it's just the inker and the way they did it, but one of those first panels with Professor X kind of waking up, it had that kind of like scratchy style to it that I really liked.
Mm-hmm.
And his we'll get to it later, but his pensive Reagan is my panel of the week.
Yeah, my only problem with the art is it's just very dense. Like there's like, at least like 6 panels per page. Yeah. And so like there's a lot of characters in every panel, and so it just is very like very dense, and like we talk about like deconstructed comics and like big set pieces and everything kind of wide. There's no like single page spreads in this book.
No.
It makes it very, very dense. Although it is good for phone reading because you can just go panel to panel.
All right, so let's get into it here. We'll see what this is all about. We start near a suburb of Denver. There's like a superhero couple there, Marcia and Owen. Owen is the Molecule Man. This book takes way too long to tell us that. And if we didn't already know just from other little context clues, I kind of picked it up. Like, wait a minute, this guy. But that's Owen, the Molecule Man, and his girlfriend Volcana. There's like some weird stuff happening outside. There's like space debris falling. It's really weird. And Owen recognizes someone. Oh my God, Professor X is getting a psychic reading about it as well. He's yelling. He's at Muir Island. How do you spell that? Muir Island?
I think it's Muir.
Muir. He's yelling about the Beyonder. The Beyonder from Secret Wars 1 is here a year later. And the New Mutants are there. They got to go rendezvous in America with the X-Men and Magneto. Right off the bat, I knew we were in for a time with this scene. With Captain America, he's on a plane from London to New York. It is not explained why Captain America is just like sitting in coach with every other passenger. All the other passengers are wondering why he's there, wondering why he couldn't afford first class. And then he gets a psychic message from Professor X about everything. And he goes to the cabin and he tells the pilots, hey, we got to reroute this plane to LA instead of New York. And he shows his clearance and like, all right, I guess we got to do it.
This scene for like, there's so much packed here. Like Captain America in costume, in sitting in like a normal plane seat, is one hilarious. 2, he's flying like a passenger plane, which is I guess I shouldn't I eat the rich, but like he's a man of the people, so I guess he should be on a normal plane, not a private jet. Although I feel he should be on a private jet. He takes a whole passenger jet, which probably isn't fueled, to go from where is it, from London to New York?
From London, yeah.
That's impossible. To then fly to LA, like I don't think it has that much gas, for one.
Yeah,
and 2, right? Taking all these people to the Beyonder, like this is a drop me off. Like, you know what? Actually, let me just jump out of the fucking plane right now, and the Quinjet will come get me.
There's so many ways he could have done this that doesn't inconvenience every other person.
Because what would have been actually a cool scene is if he had jumped out of the plane into the X-Jet, like as they're also coming from Scotland. That would have been cool. Mm-hmm. That would have been cool.
Or if Thor or somebody caught him or whatever, just like something where you're like, oh, like action, instead of like, I have to use my Avengers powers to reroute this plane.
Yeah. And they reseal Thor reseals the door, or Iron Man does, so like they don't lose air pressure. That'd be cool. Excellent.
And multiple. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's what I got.
Oh,
yeah.
And multiple passengers need a paragraph to explain why they're upset, and this is kind of like the running theme with this book is that like lots of nobodies get a lot of time to talk in this book.
That's what my quote was from, where give me some butter for that corn, but he's like, but actually he makes a good case. Maybe I'm okay with this. He's so charismatic.
Yeah.
You're just like, this is such an odd way to begin. Everything about this is so awkward.
The recap is also like, maybe one hero who was over at Secret Wars 1 could tell another hero about Secret Wars 1, and that's the recap. but it's the pilots of this plane are asking Cap what's going on, and so he recaps everything that happened in Secret Wars 1 to the pilots.
Well, they've got a long flight, to be fair.
They've got time. They've got time.
Yeah, and of course the pilot is like, "Oh, thanks for saving my ass in World War II." And I'm like, "Wait, how old is this pilot?
Oh wow,
This is 1985."
He's probably 60.
I guess.
I don't know how long commercial air pilots are allowed to until they're kind of. I feel like they're forced into retirement, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like you have to retire before you're like 70. You can't be like Clint Eastwood on the plane.
Yeah, no.
But as far as a premise goes, I kind of like the idea of like, oh, we fought this villain on the other world, and now he's here. I think that is a good hook. This is the clumsiest way to do it, yes, but I think it is a good hook.
Back in Denver, the Beyonder is sitting on Owen and Marsha's couch. He doesn't know how to. They never really seem to explain what's going on, but has he lost his memory? Has he lost his mind? He has no desire to destroy anything or fight anything. He's just kind of sitting on the couch, kind of blank. He's got like pieces of different heroes as like he's wearing as an outfit because he doesn't know what to wear on Earth.
Yeah, he looks like Combo Man.
Yeah,
that is confusing to me though, because I'm reading 4 years like what Fantastic Four member's got a robot face.
For as much of this book decides to over-explain everything, it could have just given me a little bit more premise as to what's going on with the Beyonder, because all he seems to do is want to just experience and learn about Earth. Just learn about Earth, and then Owen tells him like, "Hey, you got to go out there and experience it. Go out there to L.A." And this works, and the Beyonder heads out, and Owen just kind of suggests like you take a less conspicuous form, and that's just kind of it.
And the whole time, Molecule Man's girlfriend's just watching like reruns of 60s and 70s sitcoms between Hogan's Heroes and Laverne and Shirley.
Yes. That's what's going on. Was there more to this that I missed? Why is the Beyonder like this? Y'all know? Please.
I guess as we find out, he just is curious about the universe, and he's bored being in like his own universe.
I guess so. Yeah.
Well, like bringing everybody to his universe to like fight a secret war to observe them didn't, that interfered with the scientific method. He needs to observe them in their natural habitat.
Yeah, that didn't satisfy his curiosity. All right, so Magneto's at the X-Mansion, a bunch of blah, blah, blah. We're going to have to fly through this kind of quickly. The X-Men show up. They all fly in a plane to L.A.
No, Kia. They don't fly in a plane.
Oh, sorry, in a car. And Magneto
They fly in a magnetized car.
Yes.
This book is dumb as rocks.
It's kind of fun for how stupid it is. Not always. In Hollywood, the Beyonder shows up at some writer's home. He's dressed like he looks just like Molecule Man because he doesn't know what else to really look like. So Molecule Man had showed him like an example, like I can do anything with molecules. Look, and he like picks up his sculpture and turns it into an apple and he eats it. And so Beyonder basically just does that. He turns this guy's desk into apples. We learn that this guy is the cartoonist behind Shazam. He asks the Beyonder for power, and so the Beyonder turns him into a lightning hero with a thunder sword, and he has a flying Pegasus named Boromir, and he's going to go out there and okay.
He's a disgruntled TV writer also.
TV writer. Yeah.
He writes for NBC, and he's disgruntled about all the violence on television.
Did you guys pick up who this is a not even disguised joke about?
No, who is this?
This is Steve Gerber, who created Howard the Duck, and at this point had quit Marvel and was working for, I think, Hanna-Barbera or somewhere, writing, and G.I. Joe, writing cartoon shows. This is very clearly Jim Shooter, and maybe it's from a place of this will be funny, but it seems kind of mean-spirited to me. I don't know.
Yeah, I could see both, honestly. This guy isn't drawn in the best light, and he's a little bit of a coward at the end.
He ends up being a liberal woke scold also, and he is because he one of those irritating liberals that you see. He hates Reagan, and then he's going to get his comeuppance. So I'm like, what's the message in here? But okay.
He hates Captain America because he's probably a Republican. And I'm like, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of weird details with this guy. But he starts terrorizing everything. The X-Men show up. Iron Man starts to head out. Cap shows up. While everyone's fighting this lightning guy, the Beyonder shows up behind them. Messes with the New Mutants, and they get teleported away. Wolverine rages at the Beyonder and slashes right through him, but he lives, and everyone's like, what? Who is this guy? And one of the X-Men tries to teleport them all out. I wrote down so many details about this, thinking all these people were going to be important in this story. They weren't. Iron Man shows up, helps save the day. Lightning guy drops his sword and turns into a regular guy again. Cap tries to talk to the Beyonder, but Beyonder teleports away. And as Cap walks away, he's silently followed by this invisible Beyonder. Oh. Okay. I kind of, at first, like with this first issue, I like this premise of like, okay, Beyonder shows up. The heroes don't know where he is, but he's kind of just causing chaos everywhere. And like, there's something that could be interesting about that as like an event comic. See a freak of the week sort of deal with every issue of what kind of chaos he's causing, right? Something like that. Is that what we're getting?
I don't know. I don't think so. Nope. We're gonna get somebody learning how to poop.
I mean, I guess there's maybe a way, and Dr. Manhattan is what, like 3 years away. So it's just like
this is very Dr. Manhattan-y and Silver Surfer-y, and it's got that kind of like. I don't remember now if it's second person or third person. It's the third person. Like he wanders through the world, not knowing what life means. Like that kind of like hoity-toity kind of narration that Dr. Manhattan has. Yeah. But Dr. Manhattan does a lot better.
Yes.
It is 1969. He is doing blah blah blah. It is 1985. He is doing this. A lot of that kind of narration.
Yeah. All right. Into issue 2 here, we got the Beyonder. He's pondering on top of a Manhattan skyscraper. Needs a more permanent look for himself. He's trying to experience being human. He goes out and about. Sees a guy order a hot dog and a cream soda. So he does the same thing and he eats the bottle. Come on, Beyonder, you idiot. We see hatred on the streets. There's people picketing against freaks to get out of America. She-Hulk and Wyatt Wingfoot have been unjustly arrested.
I want to establish here, by the way, that they introduced the Fantastic Four as Reed, Johnny, the third member, She-Hulk, and then I guess the fourth member is Sue Storm, because the Thing isn't around right now. But I don't like that Sue is the final member. I feel like she should be higher in the list above as a founding member.
Yes, yeah.
The third, when I think of Fantastic Four, I don't think the third member is She-Hulk. She's in the rotation slot, but that's okay.
Yeah. I guess it's the order of introduction.
So Sue Storm is on the scene being invisible, but some dude in the shadows has a read on her. He uses a shape-shifting device on his lackey to make him look like Reed Richards. And so this guy kind of gets close to Sue and is like, oh, honey, I've been so worried about you. And she's like, Reed? Why are you wearing different clothes? And he goes, I shouldn't get close enough to touch you. And he does. And he like knocks her out. Sue passes out. And she wakes up with evil new clothes. She's now Malice, mistress of hate. And
does every woman in the Marvel universe in the 80s have like an evil dominatrix alter persona between this and like Jean Grey? Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
It is like in the Fantastic Four series at the time, John Byrne is writing and drawing it. So it's
okay. So it's a John Byrne thing. Okay, got it.
Yeah, he just loves doing this, I guess.
He's got one.
He did it. He did it to Scarlet Witch too. We read that awful West Coast Adventures where she turned evil and got.
This lackey now says like she now belongs to the hate monger. That was the dude in the shadows. This stuff has nothing to do with the Beyonder. It's just a racist villain who is now.
It's incredibly obvious that Psycho Man is like controlling the hate monger because there's like a weird looking Jack Kirby created weird head in the shadow.
That is definitely like an Eternals New God looking thing.
Yeah, like that's obviously a Fantastic Four villain, Psycho Man, who controls emotions, and he's got a guy named the Hate Monger. Why do we need to know this? Who
I don't
knows?
know. It has nothing to do with the main story, and they barely follow up on it. Um, what is the Beyonder up to? Oh, he's breaking into a clothing store. He's asking, why is clothes? Why is eating? He's just a dumb alien. He doesn't know anything. He moves on. He's like extending some sensors out. Basically, this whole issue is sort of a goose chase of the Beyonder looking for answers. And he takes everything super literally. And every time someone says, oh, you should go ask this kind of person, he goes, oh, yeah, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, the guy at the store is like, ask someone you know. I'm
Yeah.
a stranger. And he's like, oh, someone I know. I'll just like search around. And so he searches New York City and finds Peter Parker.
Yeah. So he shows up at Peter Parker's office building, I guess the Daily Bugle. And Peter's trying to get on the elevator. And this guy, like every time the door opens, he's there asking a stupid question. What is significance? Why is eating? He's following Spider-Man. Spidey sense is going off, invisibly following him home. He says, you know what, you should go ask Reed Richards. He's a lot smarter than me.
But before that, he follows Peter, and Peter, famous for going into an elevator and saying, not my problem, also goes into an elevator and is like, I don't know who was following me. It's not my problem. I'm good. Don't worry about it. Like, Peter, we learned this lesson in your first adventure.
Also,
yeah, but as soon as he sends him away, he does go like, I should follow him. At least warn Reed, you know?
He's like, he's in the elevator. He's like, my instincts. Oh, right. All right. Okay, wait. I probably should follow this dude and see what's going on.
Before he knows he's the Beyonder, he does just like attack him. Now, yes, he's in his house, but it's just like, dude, just talk to him. Like, he's not doing anything aggressive, and you're just immediately like throwing punches at him. Yeah. And then we don't want to skip over before the Beyonder leaves. There's an important thing.
Very important.
He learns about the world. He's just like, oh, I'm being so rude. Can I get you like something to drink? And he's like, oh, would that alleviate this pressure I have?
Yeah, and Spidey's like, all right, you can use the bathroom. And I do like the joyous Beyonder coming out of the bathroom, arms raised, going, the experience is consummated. I like that line a lot. So Reed and Johnny are busy fighting Hate Monger. The Beyonder teleports in there to ask some more insane questions in the middle of the fighting. Sue Storm, meanwhile, seems fine. She's still in her new outfit, but she's acting totally normal and is not under the Hate Monger's powers at all. So
I guess we have to read that issue Fantastic Four to figure out what's going on.
I guess so. Then he zaps his... What is it? It was a Psycho Man, and that wasn't the Hate Monger at all. He like zaps the Hate Monger into goop, and he leaves. It was just a construct. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, the Hate Monger is the fake, not a person.
Yeah. Reed is distracted by this Beyonder business, though, and he's like, oh, I gotta like ask some questions, figure all this out. And Sue is like, but Reed, I need you now. Am I not important? We've seen that in like every Fantastic Four comic we've read.
I don't believe this. Reed is ignoring me. Reed, I need you. Don't you understand? Of course, but that was the Beyonder. Not now, Reed. I need you.
She's got this nice new dress she wants you to check out. The Beyonder meets a homeless lady who helps him kind of look good. He's kind of worn this suit based on just what he's seen, but she tightens it up for him, or like tells him what to do, and he magically tightens it up on himself. She's going to teach him the streets, so they takes him to the alley, and they get jumped. He has no money, so they beat him up more. She finds a card for Heroes for Hire in his bag, so that's where he goes. They jump out the window over there.
So much happens in these first
he turns the Heroes for Hire building into gold because that's money, and it collapses and everyone's confused. This just at this point, this is the end. Go ahead.
I do like Danny Rand like being the worst person, and then Luke Cage also being the worst person to ask these questions, because he's just like, well, you've already achieved enlightenment, you've had oneness with the universe, so like, if anything, I should be asking you questions. Luke Cage is like, don't listen to him. Like, this is what you need. He's like, paper's everywhere. He's like, no, this specific green paper, it's backed by gold. And Iron Fist is like, no, it isn't.
Yeah, this is the end of issue 2, where Luke Cage and Iron Fist's office building gets turned into gold, collapses under their weight, and Spider-Man shows up, and the three of them just kind of look at it dumbfounded. That's what I wrote. This does not feel like an event comic. I don't know what's going on here right now.
Well, next issue we'll definitely get it back on track to being
Yeah,
an
it'll
event comic.
definitely get back on track next issue.
Issue 3, the Beyonder is asleep on a corner against a lamppost. A cop wakes him up and says, "Where do you live?" He says, "I'm living right here now," which I really liked. Cop asks for an ID. He's like,
in
"What?"
the moment.
He opens a view to his realm and then walks away. The cop is dumbfounded. He gets propositioned by a hooker who's like, "Hey, let's go to a motel and rest. You look tired. Let's see some cash." And he's like, "Oh, cash, I know what that is." And he produces a gold brick out of thin air, and she runs away. But she said to go to a motel, so he teleports to a motel. The guy at the counter is like, "Yeah, he looks rich. Sure, you can stay. You can pay me in the morning. Here's a key." And I think this guy's planning on jumping him, but he gets woken up by a funny group of thugs. There's a pimp named Chulo, his prostitute named Tootsie, or Toots, who was the girl talking to him on the street. There's Vinny.
Yeah, Vinny's the best guy in this book. I like Vinny.
I figured you'd like him.
I was worried because most Vinnies are bad, but this Vinny's got a heart of gold.
This Vinny does have a heart of gold. They show up in his room. He wakes up. He didn't even sleep in the bed. He doesn't know what he's doing. He slept on the ground. But they're there to ask him about the gold bar that Toots told them about. So he recaps Secret Wars for them as well and recaps everything that's been going on because that's necessary to know how he can produce gold bars. Then they try to make friends with him. They keep Toots in the room to keep him company. He's got a plan. They take him to restaurants. They shower him with women. They get him new clothes. He's chosen a new look for himself. He helps some kid cure his dyslexia. And then he helps the mom get thin. There's a lot of stuff like that.
He helped Vinny's kid, little Vinny.
That's right. It's Vinny's. Yes, little Vinny and Vinny's wife. You're right.
Yeah, this is just like Tony Soprano has just taken
in some magic power. Yeah.
Yeah, as a all-powerful god and been like, "Can you make my wife a little hotter?"
Yeah. He buys a motorcycle. They win at the racetracks. Weeks later, he is in deep. He's making the rounds for protection money. He's going by the name Frank. Toots has fallen in love with him. He's being driven around in a limo for collections. He always keeps a blender with him because he likes gadgets in the backseat of the limo.
He has a very stupid Jerry curl now.
He's no longer blonde. He's got black hair.
Yes, I have lost track of this comic at this point. It is off the rails. It has nothing to do with superheroes anymore. He buys his own boat. He's getting real fat with the ladies on there, but he magics himself thin again. He takes his boat to the Kingpin and makes everyone there his lackey, including the Kingpin, because they can't resist his will. And he's like, this is great, but I was meant for bigger things. And we see him in front of the White House the next day, and he's the president.
Well, can we take a step back for
yes,
Vinny exits the book. I always have a problem with like rich people. I'm like, like how much is enough money? You're like, why are we still doing this? Like, you're the richest person in the world. Why are you doing all this? And Vinny's like, I got enough money. I'm good. You go fly, man. I've got enough here. I don't need to leech off you anymore. Yeah. Just go. I'm like, Vinny, this is the good rich kind of guy. He knows his limits. He's not gonna get any more trouble. He's set for life. Vinny knows what he wants, and I like that. So Vinny just says goodbye, friend. Beyonder
does not. Yeah,
Beyonder does not, and Beyonder's gonna go. I'm assuming like every Marvel book that we've read over the last year, he's gonna become the president and take over the world, and then realize it's not satisfying, right?
Yep.
Just like Emperor Doom.
Just like it.
It is basically Emperor Doom.
It's weirdly different because he also decides, I'm going to just control every bacteria and molecule and animal and wave and tree and all that. And it's just too easy. It's too easy. Back in Denver, Molecule Man realizes this as well. He's like, wait a minute. Every single molecule in the world is being controlled by an outside force, except for my own. And he like frees his girlfriend. He's like, it's got to be the Beyonder. Maybe he's going through a phase. Back to F Troop. The Beyonder, this has to be to get people to read Transformers, because
No.
the Beyonder meets a character from Transformers.
It's actually more insidious. So she
Okay.
is a character from Transformers, but her first official appearance is here, which means she's a Marvel character, not a Transformers character. And I think that's like publishing wise very important. So Marvel can keep her. If they created her in Transformers, then she would be a Transformers property. So they deliberately put her in this book first.
And they use her all the time. This is like a character we all know and love.
Yeah.
This is Circuit Breaker is her name. She hates robots.
Yeah. Is this like a deal where Marvel could make a Circuit Breaker movie?
Yeah.
And but they, as long as they don't call her a Transformer, it's okay.
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, and you know, it's like how when they stopped making new characters in X books because they didn't want them to go over to be Fox characters in the movies. They were like, we gotta create them in Avengers, and then we could put them in X-Men books.
Right.
Yeah.
Kamala Khan is not a mutant. She's an Inhuman.
Yeah, that way we don't exactly right. Because Marvel, I guess, was publishing Transformers, and Rom Space Knight, I think, is a licensed book at this point, also, which is
Yeah, they mentioned that in here. Yeah.
Yes. There's he's mentioning like is it this issue or the next issue? He talks about desires, and he's like, this one lady really doesn't want a space alien in her brain.
Yeah, I think it's the next issue. He's so what's going on? He goes to ask Vinny for advice, and he says, I have everything, but I still want more. And he's like, I don't know. He's like, I released Toots from my will, and she's still in love with him, and he's happy, so he releases the whole world. And he goes to see the Avengers, but they're not there. So he talks to Jarvis, and he says, taking the world over the world was not fulfilling. Maybe I should work with the Avengers. And Jarvis says, well, they're not here. They're busy in the Skrull Galaxy right now. So he goes, I'll just head over there. And teleports away. And Jarvis is like, I wonder if I said too much. Hopefully he doesn't create any trouble. And the next panel is him returning to, teleporting back to New York hours later, saying, boy, I really screwed that up, didn't I? Oh, no. And I guess we got to read that comic to see how we screwed it up. But
time to call Daredevil's or the Avengers lawyer, Daredevil.
Yeah, well, he says, I remember Vinny mentioned something about an illegal flying casino. Maybe I can do something about that. But I'll need a lawyer. One without any fear. All right.
Oh, so 3 issues in, how many Secret Wars have we had?
I don't know, man. This is it's a weird book. This is not where I expected it to go. Oh, you said there were no full page spreads. The next issue starts with a single big panel of the Beyonder smooching a lady. And of course, this is everyone's favorite Marvel
character
comic
we
book
know.
character. It's famous actress Sharon Ng from Marvel Comics, don't you know? She's saying, you're leaving. Well, aren't you? I'm in love with you, though. And he's like, peace, I'm out of here, bye, LOL. And she's heartbroken. What happened to Toots, who was in love with you in the last issue? Who is this? Why are you leaving? You're just, I don't know what the Beyonder's doing, man. Breaking hearts. He's flying around in his car, recording his thoughts and his experiments. This is when he mentioned that Rom comic. He tells us he's been looking into the remains of Algrim the Elf. Who I wonder, is Algrim the Elf named after Al Milgrom?
Possibly.
Seems similar.
But
he's
Walt Simonson Thor creation.
Oh, yeah. Seems like an old Thor character whose remains are underwater, and he's like, I think I want to bring him back to life because he'll go after Thor. He's recapping what's going on in a lot of issues. He says that U.S. President Ronald Reagan desires tax reform, and we see pensive Reagan. Yeah, panel of the week.
I don't think Ronald Reagan was really losing sleep about tax reform. I got to tell you, Jim Shooter, I got bad news about what Ronald Reagan was thinking about.
I want a Marvel comic about Reagan's few days off while the Beyonder was president. I think that would be interesting. What did Reagan do?
He'd be sitting right next to Molecule Man being like, ooh, look at this F troop. You know, I actually knew this guy.
I was in the movie with the chimp.
The Beyonder is flying around in a car, and a jet blasts him out of the air because it's just like air traffic control wondering what the hell this thing is.
More flying cars in this.
Well, yeah. He gets out of the car and flies over to the pilot and talks to him, and I guess they trade vehicles because this guy lands the car, and he lands his jet in Colorado. Okay. He goes to Molecule Man again. She heads off to Jazzercise. There's a lot of like
Volcana.
Yeah. There's a lot of let's say this book is very fitness heavy. It doesn't like fat people.
No,
not in.
Reagan had like a lot of fitness stuff at the time too. It's a pro-Reagan book.
Yeah, pro-Reagan book. Beyonder has been looking into desire. Can you explain love to me? He says to Molecule Man, who does a pretty good job giving him his best definition. He's like, well, it's best when it's mutual. It's not a business deal. The more you give, the more you have to give. It's limitless. So he goes back to Sharon, the actress, who has taken pills and written a suicide note. The Beyonder brings her back to life. Why do you love me? And she says, because of what you do to me. You bring me ecstasy. And he goes, a business deal. Time to move on then. Maybe I'll love one of these other random faces instead, and I'm going to plop them up in the air in front of you and make you look at them, lady.
Is Aunt May one of these?
I don't know.
Looks like it.
Maybe, yeah. And she goes, wait a minute, some of these are men. And he goes, so I can be any body I want. But I'm kind of more comfortable being a man, so I'll stay that way. He's like, this one, though, this mutant, she seems powerful. I'm going to go make her love me instead. And as she leaves, Sharon breaks a mirror. This random panel here with the thought bubble from the man on the elevator as the elevator door is opening, who goes, that woman carries herself so strongly.
So erect, so proud, like a queen.
This was the strongest, like, that panel I don't understand anything about. Why did she exit her apartment, smash a mirror in the hallway, and then stand there waiting for an elevator? And why did we get a caption from a random person on the elevator? I don't get any of that.
This is the secret war. Yeah.
It's a secret
war.
I want to establish that Sharon Ng does not have like a Google page at all, or even like a Marvel Wikia page.
Are you kidding me?
I'm dead serious.
Somebody's got to finish telling her story. This is big.
She's so beautiful, so erect.
And that's exactly where our story picks up.
Instead, poor Dazzler's going to get some more unwanted male attention.
Yeah. After that last Dazzler book that we read, I really feel bad for her here. Beyonder goes after Dazzler.
We did just do Dazzler the movie. I was like, what did we do? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He poofs Dazzler up into space, into some dome, and says, I've chosen you. And she's like, don't I get some say in this? Put me back on Earth. So he drops her in an igloo, and tries to seduce her under a blanket, and like keeps taking her to other spots. It's all very creepy and weird. Takes her to the top of some cliff, and he's like, blah, blah, blah. Just give me a chance, he says, as he kisses her and they embrace. And I'm like, what? Next thing we know, she's waking up in his house, dressing for breakfast, and she's not really sure how she got there either. And a live quartet is playing on the balcony, and there's breakfast, and he's like, okay, enjoy the home. I've got to go. And he leaves her there and goes to Alpha Flight. Oh, no, he says, I'm going to get you a present, but I'm going to work for this present. I'm not just going to materialize it out of thin air. Okay. Goes to Alpha Flight. Saves some shaman's daughter and gets a ring in exchange.
I didn't realize that Omega Flight was their enemy. I thought Omega Flight was just a cool name, another name for Alpha Flight. But I guess their enemies are Omega Flight.
Are they really?
No, Omega Flight is like their junior team.
And here it says a super team called Alpha Flight and their arch enemies Omega Flight.
Yeah, that's not like it's established that Omega Flight is like the B team.
That's what I thought. Okay, thank you. Okay, all right. So this book is wrong.
Damn, this thing's got it wrong. I can't believe that.
One continuity error in this entire book. I will say one. Everyone is so insane. Like this, we'll get to it, but I think he's trying to make some sort of like satirical point or deeper point, like in Watchmen. But he writes everyone so stupid all the time that it's like I can't accept whatever point you're making. Like this is just so stupid.
Yeah, it's very dumb. So he gets back to Dazzler and takes up the ring and says, "Hey, I got you this." Oh no, he's going back to the house and she is running away from the house. He's like, "Hey, where are you going? I brought you this ring." She's like, I just want to get it on a plane back to New York, please. So he teleports them there. And he's like, okay, we can be in love here. He's like, I have dreams though. Like, I just get, I love you, but I have dreams. I'm like, really? You do love him? But what? Dazzler. So he teleports her on stage, and she's like, oh, not like this. And he goes, oh, but I did it right. I printed tickets and I sold them and everything. I'm like, what? What? They teleport back to the street. The Avengers are there to take him. They fight on the street. A friend of the show, Star Fox, saves the day, mellows him out, brings him down.
We need your help, Star Fox. We need your help.
Dazzler asks the Avengers, what do they do with him? Well, we'll make certain he never menaces the universe again. And so Dazzler shines a light to save him so that he can get away? What?
Yeah. When this was happening, I was like, how could this possibly... Oh, I know what's happening. Because you're just like, he's not trying. He's throwing this fight against the Avengers. And then you find out it's not even the Avengers.
It's none of this is real. He gives her massive power. They become figures in the stars. She runs away and crashes into the ground. Too much power. She doesn't love him. He cries into the air, and she wakes up, and he goes, oh, I do love you. And he releases her and makes her forget this all happened. And now it's his turn to forget. Because it was all just mind control stuff. None of it was real. Okay.
All right, one more.
That was a full issue of Secret Wars Part 2. We are on to issue 5 now.
Oh, we got another new character after we got that Transformers character. We got another
new character. Yeah. I thought this was going to be like a freak of the week with Beyonder creating different trouble for everyone every week. It is Beyonder with like a new girl every week and making her fall in love with him. And that's basically it every time.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, at least he doesn't like mind control her in this one. So he's making progress, although she is a teenager.
Yeah. So Beyonder...
He does offer to magically make her an adult. It is funny. I was reading a review of this, and they mentioned that I guess it was around the time the Disaster Artist came out, and they're like, this book reads better if you just read everything the Beyonder says in like Tommy Wiseau's voice.
Yeah.
He doesn't understand humans.
Why is he
eating?
eating?
Strange accent. What is hallucinate?
The experience is consummated.
So issue 5 here, the Beyonder is sadly walking along some train tracks. A train comes along behind him, so he explodes it. Woo! And he drops the passengers safely down. He doesn't want to hurt them. One of them is a mutant who says she's on her way to Xavier's and wants to walk with him. Her name is Boom Boom.
Oh, we know her, right?
She calls herself Time Bomb.
Yeah, where's she from? Where do we know her from?
We met Boom Boom, I thought, in Next Wave. Next Wave, yeah, there we go.
Next Wave is the first thing I think we read of her, but she's best known because she was in X-Force.
All right, look at me. Look at me.
She's got a swollen eye because she's a mutant. Dad gave it to her. Not great. But she can make herself little time bombs and throw them like little marbles. And Beyonder makes a tent so they can rest for the night, and she blows up the tent as a way to demonstrate her powers. And he's like, why'd you do that? Because you can just make a new one? Why'd you blow up the train? Well, that's a long story. And he recaps everything. But he's been feeling empty. And she's like, I know about rejection. She kind of goes through the stages of it. And she's like, ultimately, you're just lonely. But you can't just collapse. You got to move on. And he's just getting tired of Earth. He blinks away to home, back to nothingness. He's like, I wish I brought some stuff with me. I can make anything. What am I doing? And he starts making himself stuff. And he's like, I could even make a fake Dazzler here. And it's like, no, I came here to forget all that. What am I doing?
Who am I talking to?
Yeah. And then Boom Boom left a little bomb in his pocket, and it goes off and explodes his butt. And he goes, oh, that Boom Boom. So he goes back down, picks her up in a car, and she's like, get away from me. Wait, you're not mad about the bomb? And he's like, no, I'll give you a ride to Xavier's.
Magically heals her black eye to show that he's not mad.
She knocks on the door at the academy, and The X-Men immediately see the Beyonder in the car behind her and just rush past her and rush towards him. This is my genuine panel of the week. All of them kind of rushing out the door towards the car. I think it's really nice. Nightcrawler bamfing away. It's great. Mm-hmm. It is incredibly stupid that they've ignored this girl, and that also that they would recognize the Beyonder not knowing what he even looks like after he has shapeshifted.
Well, it's Rachel. Rachel has like she was a hound or whatever in the future, and she has mutant tracking abilities or whatever, so she can recognize it's him.
Yeah, it's like those aliens in Thunderbolts that can like smell. Like I know this guy smells the same, even though he's had facial reconstructive surgery.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes some sense.
I also my panel of the week might be the panel below the one of the X-Men running out, which is Beyonder in his car yawning as if the X-Men are attacking.
It is a good drawing of Wolverine.
Then the Beyonder is like, "Fuck this, I'm out of here," and he drives away. And the X-Men give chase. And you're telling me that none of these X-Men is faster than that car? They're all just like running in a big group towards him. Boom Boom is also heartbroken that he left without her, and she's like, "Oh no!" Even though he literally just ditched her and came back. But she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna count down, and if you're not back, I'm gonna explode myself." And it's a dud bomb, anyways. And he's like, you weren't gonna trick me." And they drive off together, and they fly up into space, and they go to the World Complex headquarters of the Celestials, and they go to a space food court with weird aliens and weird food, and the guy at the counter recognizes him.
Wouldn't she be immune to her own powers? Because isn't that the thing? Like, whenever Cyclops and Havoc are immune to each other's powers, it's because they're like too similar.
I thought it's
your own
brothers.
powers aren't supposed to hurt you. Yeah, but your own mutant powers aren't supposed to hurt you.
Correct, but maybe it's not that. It's like, okay, well, I make an explosion, but that explosion affects the air, and that's still,
I guess
something like that.
I mean, it makes more sense that Gambit could hurt himself because Gambit's like charging up other things, and then he doesn't have control over that.
Or stay with me. The fact that your own powers can't hurt you doesn't make sense to me.
That's also.
I mean, yes, that's true too.
Anyways, I don't know. They're in space, I guess. They're at the food court. She says, "Oh, it's weird that those big celestial guys didn't even like notice you." And he's like, "They didn't notice me. What are you talking about? They're fuming right now. You just can't really tell." And so he flies up and calls them pompous buffoons, says they're responsible for everything, says, "Hey, stop me from destroying the universe. I'm going to count down from 10, and kind of uses his own Boom Boom's trick against them. Starts beating them up, just causing chaos everywhere. Boom Boom does not like it. And she's like, "Get me out of here, dude. I don't want to hang out with you anymore." So teleports her home, and he grabs a beer on this planet and then drives away. Says, "I'm going to my mansion in Brazil." Boom Boom uses a payphone to call the Avengers. It's like, "I wanted to tell you about the Beyonder. I think I can get him to show up." So back at the campsite, she's there calling for him, and he's like, "Oh, I'm back. You do want to hang out with me?" And they hug, and she runs away, and an explosion goes off, and every Avenger is there. And they all beat him up. You see like every weapon being thrown at him. And he's just like defeated, and he's just like, "Oh." And they back off.
Like, he's not even fighting them. I really don't like the way the Avengers are written here, where they're just like, "All right, immediately attack this guy."
Well, they do say, "Don't
God powers."
They do say, "Yeah, don't give him any time to think. He can do anything." But then Cap is like, "Hey, everyone back off. He's not doing anything." And then he stands up and just starts wandering away. And they're like, "Well, what do we do?" And it's like, "Well, I mean, maybe he had a change of heart." So they just kind of let him walk away.
Cap says, "Why don't you just go back where you came from?" I'm like, Captain America is saying that?
And they had a thing with like points with him.
Maybe that writer at the beginning was right. He is a Republican. He's just like, "No, America's full. No room for Beyonders."
No room for Beyonders. He mumbles something about like 10 points for me under his breath, like about like tricking whatever. And they're like, "Oh, what did that mean? Maybe the girl can shed some confusion on this." They're like, "Ah, no, she ran away in the confusion." Really? No super. Every Avenger is here, and this little girl ran away in the confusion, and that's it. Nobody can find her. Okay.
I feel like Rachel would be able to find her. She's got that mutant tracking ability.
Anybody could find any single one of these Avengers. You could put them on girl duty, and they would find her.
I'm more upset that
Star Fox could handle it.
I'm more upset because the cover said, It had like all these heroes and Doctor Strange too, but they didn't even color Doctor Strange in. They just astral projected him. He has one line, and he's just like in the background of 3 panels.
Yeah, he's here. Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
I was a Doctor Strange fan. I'm like, this is it. All right, fine. All right, cool.
He can't use his magical powers to see that girl is like 100 yards away.
Yeah, no. Where's she hiding? The eye of Agamotto cannot see. All right, so that's it for the first 5 issues. We never actually mentioned it's a 9-issue series. We're only doing the first 5 issues this time, so that's where we're ending it here with the Beyonder. I guess resetting. I don't know. We'll see what happens next time. We'll read the last 4 issues and go from there.
It looks like Cloak and Dagger and the Power Packer on the next cover.
Cool. My favorite characters. Great. We'll see what happens. But now, for now, I guess anything to say about this before we go on to Thunderbolts? We got a lot to say, I'm sure.
It's a big oof.
Yeah.
I don't like this at all.
Yeah, for me, I was excited that it was going to be something different, and I was like, okay, that's neat. Like, interesting premise. It's not like explained the best, but I kind of am into something being different. But yeah, it really went into a totally different direction that I'm not feeling.
Yeah. It's like I said, I think he's trying to tell like a more like at least a different kind of story, and like points out like how often superhero books break out into fighting and stuff. But it's like, but you're also like, you're writing the characters to be this stupid. Like, why are they attacking a person who's not doing anything? Like, why is everyone being like this? And then there's not even any introspection. There isn't anyone being like, oh, wait, maybe I shouldn't have done this. Like, Cap is written so insane in this book. Like, it's really weird. And he's still writing them all like action figures, but now they're like, they're action figures dealing with, like a Dr. Manhattan or whatever, who just doesn't want to fight them anymore. And so you're like, so what is the story here? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, because like, I mean, it seems like he's just learning, like, maybe be more humble every issue. Like, I like the issue 3. I thought that one was a pretty good, like, he worked with the mobsters. He got fat. He learned, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't control the world. Maybe I should do this. And then he kind of did the same thing with Dazzler again in the next issue. So, like, I'm not sure what the story is. And also, I just don't think Beyonder's like is he our protagonist? Is he an anti-hero? What are we rooting for him? Are we rooting against him? Like, I don't feel like the book is very clear what he is to the audience.
Yeah.
And it just feels like it's a vehicle where like every issue they're like, all right, read these other 3 issues. Like, they're just assigning us all this homework where I'm just like, I'm not reading all that. I'm not reading the Daredevil and the Thing and the Fantastic Four issue where the Beyonder will also show up. Like, it's too much. I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah, it is kind of like I thinking back to some of these early events. It's they didn't have it figured out yet, because they were like, well, every hero is the hero, So what's our main book going to be, and what's it going to focus on? Oh, well, this time we can just focus on the villain, and then we can use that to sell every other hero's book, which I guess makes sense in theory, like kind of continuing that logical leap. But yeah, it doesn't work in practice, because no one cares about the Beyonder, and there really is no hook.
If it was Kingpin or if it was Doom, you might be able to get away with it a little more, or Red Skull or something.
Yeah. Well, and even, that first Secret Wars, like, Doom was kind of the most interesting of the villains. And he hasn't been in this book at all. Like, it's weird. I guess he was like lost in time or something, so they didn't want to use him again. But it's so strange. And like I said, Jim Shooter he's the editor-in-chief. Like, I would say Marvel is maybe just past might be its most creative like talent peak at this point. There's a lot of really talented creators in 1985, and I'm like, is he trying to say that like you can sell total shit and people will buy it? Like, I don't understand.
Did Shooter write like Infinity War and like the Silver Surfer and the Thanos stuff that we read that we liked?
No, that was Jim Starlin.
Starlin, okay. Never mind then. Jim, another S, okay.
Yeah, have we ever read anything else by Jim Shooter at all?
I doubt it. He's best known before he became like the editor in chief. Oh, we did read the Avengers Korvac, which is similar actually.
Yeah.
That where they deal with the robot man who becomes like a khaki wearing guy in Queens who has like god powers.
It is very similar. Wow, that's wildly similar. When did that come out?
70s.
That was probably like 8 or 9 years earlier. And it's also much better.
Yeah.
It had George Perez art on the first half, and then I forget who they had to replace him for the second half.
Yeah. Okay. Weird. All right. So we'll continue that next time. Issues. Anything else to say about it? Sorry.
Good.
I mean, it worked out that I guess next episode is going to be our April Fool's episode, right? Because this is just like trending towards really bad. So we'll see how it ends.
It's a real bad one. But let's move on to Thunderbolts. So we did not like the last issue, number 13. They were on an alien planet. They are still stranded there. Sort of the second part of a two-parter here with them. They're captives in the cells on the planet of Cosmos with these bug people. The crowd outside wants them executed. Jolt, Hallie Takahama, she feels bad that they got them into this situation, especially when they could have just gone on being villains, but they decided to be good, and now they're in this mess. Plus, Meteorite is missing. She disappeared out of the cell. But the prince of these bug people is talking to them through the bars. He's like, "Nah, my dad definitely won't kill you. He probably just said that to make the crowd happy, you know." And Jolt sends him away so the Meteorite can phase back in. She kind of sees her coming back. She's been hiding that part of her power that she could phase around, but she's like, no need to hide it anymore. She's been out looking for an escape. Says, hey, have you been working the prince? She goes, I don't work people. I'm just talking to people. But yeah, he can maybe help us a little bit. And then Meteorite.
I like that scene a lot with her, and she's like, call me Carla. Call me by my first name. You don't need to call me Meteorite anymore. That was for pretend. You can call me my other name.
Carla Old Moonstone. Yeah, she's like, that was my original name. Let's get a fresh start.
And she takes off her mask in that scene. Yeah. I think it's just it's really good staging. I think it's really good. And that's why we like Moonstones. Or that's why we like Meteorite so much. Moonstone.
She's back to Moonstone.
Call her Moonstone. Yeah, it is funny because
cool.
I think of the other Thunderbolts. I think of all their hero names, Mach 1 and Atlas and all that. But I always call her Moonstone. So I guess because she told us
she goes back. Why. Yeah, basically every other hero keeps their new hero name, but she's the only one who reverts back to Moonstone. She just prefers it. Mm-hmm. And she's got a hunch of how they can get out of here. And she looks outside. Everyone's kind of looking out the bars, and a rebellion has started. It's full-blown civil war out there. A guard comes to bring them to the king, who has a favor, and says, "Oh, the rebels are too strong. They've even got people inside our walls." And Jolt's like, something feels off. The Vizier and Moonstone are both being looking a little too smug about this. But the king asks the Thunderbolts to fight for them, and Moonstone agrees. So they join the fight. During the fight, Moonstone pulls Songbird and Mach 1 away. And she says, hey, I met with the Vizier in secret last night. Basically, we're going to kill the king. And Mach 1 and Songbird are like, I don't know about that. And they're like, do you want to get home or not? So they follow, but they don't feel great about it. Atlas and Jolt are kind of fighting together. Atlas is worried about Jolt as a little sister, but she seems to be holding her own. As they kill a guard, one of them is like, but the Vizier said this part would be safe or something like that. And they don't say the Vizier, they say the Vizier's name, which is a bunch of weird sounds. And Jolt's like, wait a minute, that sounded familiar. She's got a hunch too. She thinks they got to get back to the palace. Moonstone and crew have gotten up to the king. They've zapped some guards. Songbird gags the king. And Moonstone gives them the order to kill. But Songbird has never actually killed anyone before. And Mach 1 points his lasers or whatever at the king, but he can't do it. It's just wrong. And Songbird releases the king. And Moonstone is pissed, blasts the king's head off. She does not have time for what is right and wrong.
I love it. It's so good.
Yeah. The war is ended. The king is dead. And Moonstone does not tell Atlas and Jolt about it. It kind of keeps them in the dark, but Jolt can tell something is up, like who killed the king? How did all this just end? But the new leadership makes good on their word, takes the Thunderbolts to a transport device and sends them back to Earth. They end up in the Rockies in Colorado.
All right.
Yeah, we're back home. But Jolt is still like kind of pissed. They're standing outside. She's demanding answers. Who killed the king? And Moonstone's like, how should I know? She kind of drags Melissa and Abe into the lie. Like, hey, weren't y'all with me all night? And they're like, yeah, we were. And Jolt's like, so that's just it? We're done? Like, what if these aliens come to Earth and attack us because of this Kang stuff? And Moonstone just says, like, listen, we'll worry about that if it happens.
Yeah, you know who else lives on Earth? All the other superheroes. They can deal with it.
Yeah. So they're back. Meanwhile, in Mexico, Techno is working on healing Zemo and this liquid bath thing. He's been monitoring things. There's no word on the Thunderbolts. S.H.I.E.L.D. is presuming them dead. And Zemo, he's holding up his mask. He's like, oh, if they're not dead, they're going to wish they were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. This book always has great cliffhangers. You're like, I think Chris, you said like last issue, like we haven't seen, like we didn't do any check-in with Zemo. Where was he last issue after he disappeared? Now we've got where Zemo is. He's like a secondary antagonist, or he's like probably the primary antagonist to them. On top of the
point, yeah.
On top of the Avengers also being a problem they on the lam from, and there's lots of moving pieces. I like multiple fronts. It's always
moving
good.
pieces.
Yeah, he's a primary antagonist that they're not going to just like run him back and have them fight him. Like they'll bring him back in like 12 issues or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he'll be in the background doing his thing.
He's not going to join them though, I don't think. Maybe he will.
Nope, not for a long time.
I don't, yeah. But yeah, next time we will continue back. The Thunderbolts finally back on Earth in issue 15. And we are continuing Secret Wars 2, issues 5 through 9. Should we use the full title? Marvel Superhero Secret Wars 2? And yeah, nothing else to tell you about. That's it next time. I guess we got our plugs here. Chris, what's going on with the Your Stupid Minds podcast?
Well, we were doing a lot of comic book stuff because we just did one that came out a few weeks ago about the return of Swamp Thing with Heather Locklear.
What?
Heather Locklear.
I was so confused because I remember seeing a Swamp Thing like ad for a movie when I was young because it came out like 89, and I was like, what the hell Swamp Thing was? There was a Swamp Thing TV show too around that time.
Yeah, it was a cartoon show, which we play the theme song of in the episode.
Is there a Swamp Thing live action show also, or is that just the two movies?
I think that the only show I know of is the one that like
cartoon
was direct to DC Unlimited or whatever their app service that then was like shown on HBO a couple of years. That Harley Quinn is like the one that people know.
Actually survived, yeah.
Yes, but I think that was the only Swamp Thing TV show, like live action thing. But anyway, so we covered that last episode, and our next episode it's a 2-part comic book combination because it's coming to Netflix. I think it's already out on Netflix. As you hear this episode, we're covering Kraven the Hunter.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's on Netflix.
Oh, is that good?
Oh, probably not. That's Kia, do you understand what the show is? We don't watch good movies.
Look, I thought maybe there's a chance.
Maybe for April Fool's Day, they watch good movies.
Maybe it's possible.
You know what? To Wong Fu, thanks for everything, Julie Newmar. It's a great movie. That's probably what y'all think.
Yeah. We're going to watch, I don't know, Vertigo and just make fun of it.
Incredible. Vince, what's going on with you?
I've been on a couple episodes of not Your Stupid Minds, but I have been on a couple episodes of Games My Mom Found. I was on an episode covering Donkey Kong 94 in February of 2025, if you're listening to this at any other point. And then I have an upcoming episode of Shovel Knight, King of Cards, the final Shovel Knight DLC. So I've covered all of the Shovel Knight DLCs on that show, Games My Mom Found. That one's not out yet, but it'll be out at some point soon. So check those out.
Great. I'm going to plug Congo River Golf in Florida, a little mini golf place. They have live gators there.
Ooh.
And I think you can feed them if you want. We didn't do that. But they had a lot of koi fish in their little river. Honestly, too many koi fish in the river because you can like feed them, and all their mouths open up and they kind of come up there. Too many mouths opening up to get the food and like kind of eating all over each other. It was kind of like a disgusting but also awe-inspiring and hard to look away from sort of thing. So if you want to see too much koi fish in a river, hanging out near some alligators, and then maybe do some mini golf, Congo River Golf is the place for you.
Wow.
I don't think I'm making any money on that, but hopefully they listen to this. Give me a little cut. Give me some of that gator money. Are we done? Is that the end of the show? That's how we end the show. Vince, I love you.
Love you too, buddy.
Chris, I love you.
Experience is consummated. Oh, wait.
And listener, we love you as well. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye.